Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator. My friend joining us on the Adam Gold Show on a Wednesday. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I hope you are.
Yes. Tom Fornelli dunked on you and Danny Cannell about Clemson on Twitter.
Listen, you got to try to block a shot to get dunked on. You know, if your number one goal is to not get dunked on, I've got a great spot for you. It's on the bench. It ain't playing. So if you're not willing to block a shot, then you're not going to get in the game.
Is it rock bottom? Has Clemson bottomed out? What do you think? I mean, I thought it was interesting. Dabo Swinney's so defiant with it Wednesday or Thursday. If they want me to go, they can. I'm not going to the beach. I'll go somewhere else. And then Dabo took the loss very personally, and that's fine. He cares, and I appreciate that. But that was really a thorough beating they absorbed at home at the hands of Syracuse.
I think it was maybe a little too on the nose when he said, maybe we bottom out. Maybe we go 6-6.
They could.
But I wonder if he looked at the schedule and thought 6-6 is a very realistic way that this could end right now. Obviously the first ever 17th place team in ACC football history is the definition of bottoming out.
Yes.
To go from 13-1 to 2-10, that kind of whiplash would be true bottoming out. But for Clemson, the fact remains that they are bigger and stronger and faster than a lot of the teams that are still left on their schedule.
Sure.
The thing that is so concerning in terms of the big picture outlook is, why is this team playing the way that they do? Because I have gotten the most insightful vibes-based analysis from Clemson fans who have rode with this coach, with this program, and with this team. They are always standing up for their boys like they are family, and they are never going to have it because you don't understand them like we do. I mean, It is true, like, family member type stuff, Like, we can talk about them, but you can't talk about them. And when words like they don't have the killer instinct, I just don't see it with this team in terms of the urgency that they are playing with, those are damning phrases coming from the fan base that has stood by you. So what happens in this week, this off week, before they go and they play North Carolina on October 4th in Chapel Hill, that is going to be the real, what do you have? Like, who's going to stand up? Where is the leadership on this team? Because I've got some other thoughts too, that maybe CJ Spiller shouldn't be the running backs coach. That just, he was an unpaid intern in 2020.
He was a hell of a player at Clemson. I loved C.J. Spiller. C.J.
Spiller, Taj Boyd.
Yeah.
It's just the staff is loaded with great names from the Clemson family, and you just, I'm reaching for stuff. I'm admittedly reaching for stuff. I know that Dabo is a big fan of the Adam Gold Show. He does what he can to be able to catch the stream or watch it live on YouTube.
Oh, he's watching it live right now.
And so I don't want this to be a personal attack on those men or the Clemson support of their own family. But if you're going to contend for national championships, I just wonder if we're dealing with some late era Bobby Bowden,
good point,
keeping it a little too familiar.
Yeah.
Hey, Adam, I wonder if we're dealing with some late era Nick Saban keeping it too familiar.
Very interesting. Look, I think they'll win their next two games, although the BC game will be more difficult, I think, than the North Carolina game. We'll talk about, you forecast the Tar Heels problems months ago. You said that they would be less talented this year than they were last year. To me, that's the problem. There are probably a lot of other problems. I don't believe they have an ACC caliber quarterback. Bless Max Johnson. I don't believe they have an ACC caliber quarterback. But their talent level on both lines of scrimmage is just not very good. I think Clemson will handle that one. Boston College may be more problematic. But those next two games that maybe 3 weeks ago we figured, Clemson can win their next 5. Syracuse, Carolina, Boston College, SMU, which is in Death Valley, and Duke. They could lose to Duke. They could lose to SMU. And that would be what we're talking about. You're talking about is bottoming out. That would be, but not that losing to Duke would be like the worst thing that happened. They lost to Duke a couple of years ago. But they could lose to Duke. There's no doubt about it.
The loss to Duke a couple of years ago is a little interesting because that's the outlier, right? That's the beginning of the 9-4 season.
Yeah.
Where
that was a good Duke team.
4-4 through 8 games, but they beat Notre Dame. They finished on a 5-game winning streak, beat Kentucky in the bowl game. All's right and all's well. But this team looks, I mean, this is the same kind of problem. And I mentioned this on the Cover 3 podcast, but Louis Riddick, NFL background, being on the call for that Syracuse game was incredibly illuminating to reinforce like the commentary that we have had, because Louis Riddick looks down at his sheets with his measurements and he walks out on the field during warmups, looks at Peter Woods and TJ Parker and Avion Terrell. He's like, these are NFL players.
Yeah.
And then he's calling the game and he's like dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that might actually be a connection to North Carolina, because when North Carolina pulled in a transfer portal class, which by the way, the transfer portal class that North Carolina pulled in, and transfer portal class ranking math is always a little bit weird, but it was 9th in the country, according to the 24/7 Sports transfer portal class rankings. And the top 7 teams in the transfer portal class rankings are all undefeated. But the 9th ranked team, something's not connecting. And do you know what I think is not connecting? And this is the connection between Clemson and North Carolina. They've got players who look good getting off the bus. They've got players who meet measurements. But they've got players who for reasons that are either internal or external, cannot translate that potential to what happens when the whistle blows and the ball is kicked off. And that part of evaluation can be one of the most important pieces of this. That part of coaching, in terms of getting players ready to get out there and capitalize on their God-given gifts. Because you know what else college football has? A lot of players who aren't 6'5", 325 pounds.
Right.
Who play at a high level. Who exceed their ranking according to 24/7 Sports. And a lot of that is internal from their own motivations, who they're made up of. But some of that is external too, from the coaching that they're receiving and the way that they're being prepared to go play on Saturdays.
Player development. Let me ask you one more college football thing, because I said we were going to do it last week and we didn't, but we are going to do it this week. We are going to talk Ryder Cup. What do you make of, you know how I feel about schedules. The ACC announcing they were going to go to 9 conference games plus require all of their teams to play an additional one. I feel like you should schedule who you want to schedule. If the college football playoff wants to require every team to be eligible to play 10 Power 4 games, then I'm okay with that. That would be fine. But I don't believe the ACC should require all of their teams to play 10 games against the Power 4. And I think what we're going to find out is that teams are going to get rid of games on their schedule that we all don't want them to get rid of, like State or Carolina versus ECU or App, those games, because, we could lose that game, and they'd rather not lose that game. And I think that is ultimately what is going to happen here.
I think it's genius, honestly, because
genius
by actually making that extra game be a conference game instead of 8+2, you are guaranteeing some wins.
Well, as it turned out, it's genius. I don't like it for that fact,
listen,
but
Adam,
as it turns out,
lose to power conference teams in the non-con if you don't play them.
Yes.
Instead of going 2-15,
right,
in these non-conference weeks, half the teams have to win.
It's a good
if
point.
The proposition is 8 conference games and extra non-cons against power conference opponents, or 9 conference games and 1 less non-con against power conference opponents, well, now you've given yourself more wins.
Why don't we play 10 conference games then?
In an 8+2 model.
Let's just go 10 conference games.
Sure. Then you're definitely going to be okay.
Yeah.
In terms of avoiding the losses along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a very interesting line of thinking that I do not believe is rampant or widespread. And I think that it should be noted, this is coming from somebody from the Florida State point of view. You've got a very, very short list of options from who this might have been. But their point was, in this new world where everyone's playing 9 conference games, there will be schools in the SEC that, not in the SEC, there are schools in the ACC that will be financially incentivized to sign up for games that they will lose in order to help fulfill a requirement for someone in another conference.
Correct.
And that if you had 8+2, you were just going to create more situations where Ole Miss Wake.
Right.
Except they follow through with it. And that's ultimate, like, and that's where keep the wins, or, keep the losses from piling up, keep some wins in house. Like that was one thinking, that if everyone's at 9 and everyone's trying to get these extra non-conference games against power conference teams, if your league only requires 8 conference games, you are going to have a lot of teams in that league that are going to be in the service industry, the industry of servicing wins for Big Ten and SEC teams. I
agree with that. But the ACC is doing this because they've basically been told they had to. They had to mirror what's going on in other leagues. Why doesn't the ACC hold like the Big Ten to this? Right? They've been playing non-conference games, but there's no requirement that their teams play an additional game against the Power Four. Penn State doesn't play a non-conference game against the Power Four. Neither does Indiana. By the way, before we go any further, mad props to the Hoosiers for laying the wood to Illinois. Holy mackerel. That was just stunning in its thoroughness. So I want to give them their flowers for that. But there's no requirement for them.
Nope.
And like I get back to it. I would just let the schools schedule who they want to schedule. I really think that we're trying to do too much. Let them schedule 3 automatic wins. I don't care if everybody plays incarnate word. I don't. Whatever they want to do, let them do it. At the end of the day, we don't care. We just look at records. We don't care who you played. Nobody's ever going to convince me otherwise. So
yeah, I'm curious to see how this does impact scheduling in terms of now the ACC has to go through the real tough work of putting all these things together. Yeah. And you know what I thought of, Adam? I thought about Adam Gold.
Did you?
Yeah.
Didn't.
Because if we've got 9 conference games, except for some years when you have 8.
Right.
And we got to figure out who's going to be the 8. And we want it. Like, we've guaranteed nothing.
Well,
if there's ever a time for the Adam Gold principle of make a schedule up as you go,
yes,
based on a team and based on what would be best for the league, this is as flexible as I've seen.
We should do that anyway. Clemson will volunteer to be the 8 all the time because they play South Carolina. They want to play an SEC team to start the season, and they're starting this thing against Georgia, against Notre Dame. By the way, in 29 and 30, right now, their non-conference schedule has South Carolina, Georgia, and Notre Dame on it. Dabo Sweeney's loving it if he's still around. All right. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com. You are wearing Keegan Bradley's hat, flat brim and all. Who are you handing a driver to? Who is his partner Friday morning at 7:10 at Bethpage Black?
Bryson DeChambeau and Ben Griffin.
All right. I also have Bryson, but I have him with Justin Thomas.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, JT is like the other. I'd have JT shortly on his heels, maybe with a different pairing, but Bryson and Benny Booms, that's quite an electric pairing to be able to get them out there and get the people roaring.
That would be. I think you have, like, how many years ago was it where Bubba Watson had the crowd go nuts and then teed off? Was that at Medina in 12? Whatever year it was, when he had the crowd going nuts, and it was the first time we had seen somebody do that. And I remember Ian Poulter thought that was so cool, I'll do the same thing. And then Poulter hit his tee shot in the rough. Didn't matter. I think the Europeans won that Ryder Cup anyway. But that's what I think we'd get with Bryson. We would just get the crowd at a fever pitch right away. And I'm no huge Bryson DeChambeau. I'm not even a fan of Bryson DeChambeau. But to me, that's strategy right there. Automatically stir the crowd up.
Yeah. And I believe 21, JT had another first tee moment like that.
Sure.
Where he got the place all just gassed up and ready to go. I can't remember if that was on Friday or if that he went out first on Sunday, but yeah, I think that you've got to have your two most mascot team members in that first wave for sure. And Bryson and JT have to be in that conversation.
Bryson has a mascot quality too. It's like, the whole big suit. Who plays? You think anybody plays 5 matches for the U.S.?
Only Scotty Scheffler, right?
I don't know. First of all, I don't think anybody will play 5 for the U.S. I think Rory and Rahm will play 5 for Europe.
Well, Adam, I swear, if these guys say jet lagged when this is at Bethpage, I am going to cry. Like, I am going to scream and throw things. So
everybody lives in the U.S. basically.
I know
all of these guys, even the European players. Maybe not the Hatton because he plays the Live Tour, so only some of those events are in the U.S. But other than Rahm, who does live in Texas, other than that, and again, Hatton, these guys all play the U.S. Tour exclusively. They live here, so nobody's jet lagged.
Well, I was talking about because the U.S. was talking about being jet lagged and sick 2 years ago,
right? Exactly,
at the Ryder Cup.
Okay,
and so that's why I said if fatigue should not be an issue. If Scotty feels good enough and wants to go 5, you send him out because he's the best in the world. But if Scotty wants to take a session off, then he only plays 4, and I'm fine with that. But that should be I will say this again: if Scotty Scheffler plays to his full potential, the United States is winning this thing.
Really?
Because he is going to get almost every point that he participates in.
All right. See, I think DeChambeau is their most important player.
That's fair.
I think DeChambeau is the U.S. I think ultimately
floor and ceiling for Bryson is farther apart than it is for Scotty.
Right. I agree. I would have no problem, by the way, playing those two guys together. Because I think when Bryson hits his ball, if he doesn't quite find the fairway enough, he's going to be far enough down. Scotty can hit any ball close from the rough with a pitching wedge. Any ball.
And when Bryson inevitably doesn't have his distance right on approach shots, Scotty's short game happens to be one of the best in the world too.
No question. But when I pair him with Justin Thomas is the same way.
Yeah.
Right. Not quite Scotty, but Thomas is the same way. Who do you have paired with Scheffler?
You give him Sam, but I think you can go Scotty with almost anybody.
Yeah, I don't think he plays with Burns tomorrow morning or Friday morning. I think he plays with Russell Henley. By the way, do you know Russell Henley is the 3rd ranked player in the world?
Yeah.
You knew that?
Yes.
I could have sat here for 2 hours. I would have never have guessed that Russell Henley was 3rd in the official world golf rankings. Never. No chance.
The
3rd.
You would know it if you had put him as a top 10 for every single major that we have had this year, because you just pointed to the database and was like, look at these results. Look at all of the data.
Right.
It's just
It's just
he's been very, very consistently
he's a
good
wonderful player.
For not a long time. His career's been long, but he is on a run for about 12 to 18 months of being very, very, very good without dips.
He's a wonderful player and a dynamite putter. And obviously is the entire team from Georgia? The entire team, Georgia Bulldogs?
I mean, we got San Diego State. Shout out to JJ Spawn.
That's right. Isn't that where Shoffley went to LSU, right?
No,
did he go to San Diego State also? Shoffley might have gone to San Diego State.
San Diego State.
Yeah, look at that. Who's the leading point getter for the U.S.? You're going Scotty?
Yeah, I think so. My friend Rick Gaiman had a really fun approach. He said, I'm going to get the top of the board and the bottom of the board. Give me a unit on, I don't want to say unit. He said, give me a bet on Scotty, but a bet on JJ Spawn.
Oh, gosh. I think guys like Spawn will play. I think
Twice.
They'll play 3 matches. They'll play both.
Oh yeah, right.
I think Spawn will play best ball. He'll play four balls, and then a singles match. Who's the weak link for the United States?
Colin Morikawa.
I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I think it's a bad course for him too.
Yeah, I just for somebody who couldn't dial in his distances and lost his iron play at the end of this season, which is supposed to be his superpower.
Yeah.
The reason he's on this team is because of his talent. The idea that if he catches, like if he somehow reaches out there and finds it, but that guy was hitting approach shots with no gloves. He changed caddies more than we changed shirts. Like it is.
Yeah.
That is somebody who is capital S searching for it right now and has not found it.
He'll play 4 balls on Friday, and then we might not see him until singles on Sunday. If anybody is going to play just once before Sunday, it'll be Colin Morikawa. Who's the weak link on Europe? Because the answer might be they don't have one?
Yeah, I mean, Ludwig had that amazing showing when he had just turned pro. But Ludwig also...
He's had weekend problems.
Yeah. I think that, again, if we're talking variance here, Ludwig might be one of those where if he shows up and he just doesn't have it, it would not surprise me. He's so aggressive. He tweaks things when he's in the middle of a round. I mean, I've seen him take competitive championship play and make it look like a practice round. As in, he's just trying stuff out there to see if it works.
Smiling through it all.
Yeah, smiling through it all.
So, what's the final score, Chip Patterson?
Let's go 16.5, 12.5. Wait, hold on. 16.5, 11.5 would be what we have, right?
16.5, 11.5 in favor of the United States?
Yeah.
Wow. Europe plus 170 is very tempting. Very tempting. I think we're going 14-14.
A true tie.
Mm-hmm. That's my prediction. 14-14. I think it's going to be the best Ryder Cup we have ever seen.
Are you do you still have business associations with the place where you can play your game?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Because they do have a boost right now.
It's plus 1,000 right now for that.
Yeah, that might be a sprinkle.
Yeah. It's already plus 1,000 for a tie.
That's what I'm saying. And boost it.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. Well, you've convinced me. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, my friend. I will talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.